Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com, and welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So we started off pretty slow. Futures are down 4 or 5 handles, after some pretty big gains overseas. So everyone's like, oh, look, we didn't follow the Nikkei and the Shanghai and all these things up 3-4%, but maybe they forgot the day before we had our best day in March. So it takes a little time to digest that. So we went over some levels, what could hold in order to keep the rally intact. Maybe we have an inside day with some digestion, and can we find outperformance, because as the rally continues, money starts to rotate, and you can find actually alpha by being in the right place, right time versus just overall market. So anyway, you look here at the chart of the SPX and you'll see still really nice methodical action to the upside. You had your double bottom at 1812, there was that. Then you had your 3-day move showing appetite for stocks, not just short covering, because if it was just short covering, we would have failed, kind of like here. So you almost had the same W that we had there, very similar. Remember, double bottom? Actually, it's very similar. Double bottom, first move up, failed, second move up, came into resistance, poked above, then followed the 8-day all the way up. Here, double bottom, 3 bars up. First time we got to resistance, or the second time here, couldn't quite get through it. Then we had that red dog reversal at 1902, pushed above. It took 3 days, backed off last Friday. What did it do? Held the 8-day, big engulfing move. And then I said, as long as we hold 1963, I think the rally stays intact. And we didn't even get down there. We went a little bit higher and then closed green above a prior day's high. And we're working our way into some pretty hefty resistance here. So the question is just, does it get there all at once, or does it pause first? But at this point, not really stopping. The reason why it's not stopping is because money's rotating around. My focus really today was the bios and the XLE. Could they play some catch up? And look at the move in the XLE today. XLE finally gave you a nice move over a very tight pennant pattern. So for me, I tweeted saying above 58.20. I think you could buy it. I bought it on the VTF. I still have it. Gave you a nice move to 59.49. Now it seems as if, well, what we went over the other day, you could probably get somewhere in there. Short term, maybe 60-ish tomorrow. Then you probably sell some. It'll be day 3. The oil number came out, and just like last time, the oil number came out, and there was a huge build. Okay, everyone gets bearish. Everyone tries to sell everything, and then if it doesn't go down, you cover and you try and get long. And oil did not go down. It had another up day. You look at the USO, hasn't by any means been in fuego, just nudging higher. We talked about 30 being the don't pass line. That'll be a tailwind above it, and this I think was correlated to 30, and since then just making its way up. Now the question is, can oil get to 40? So USO has all the moving averages a heck of a lot higher. And I guess your next resistance spot is this, besides the moving average. So we'll see how we act tomorrow. Yesterday, the bios poked their head up, so we said take a look today to see if they can go from red to green and push above yesterday's high. And a lot of guys on the site, had a nice day with the bios. Hasn't been a leader, hasn't been blasting off, but you had a nice engulfing bar yesterday, which put it on the map for maybe more gains today. That was yesterday, opened down a little bit, traded above yesterday's high, and that's a nice trade. In the morning call, I showed you KITE for the first time in a while, thinking maybe we get a day 2. Day 1, day 2, maybe it goes a little bit further. Juno was the first to go, gave you a day 1. Day 1, day 2, out of a tight pattern. It's good to see that some of these patterns are starting to work out, that there's enough action out there that it's not just the usual suspects, and I think guys on the site had a nice 2-day trade here, in a name that we haven't visited in a while. That's your Juno. Boom. Day 1 engulfed this whole area right into the 200-day. So that was there in, KITE and Juno. I think some guys were even talking about this little guy's ZIOP. Boom. For a little one. On its way up. Look when it reclaimed the 8 and 21-day. And then also, what is this? XON. XON. Nice day. Broke the downtrend. Just took back the 200-day. So there's things going on across the board besides just trying to, call tops, pick tops, come back to me, following all the, let's go. I'm kidding. It's the hump day. Everyone falls asleep a little bit. Instead of just trying to follow all the doomsday guys on, on Twitter, there is decent action. So let's take advantage of the decent action until it changes. And I know the oscillator is plus 80 now, which makes it really hard to be long. But as long as you're in the right play for a reason, and you're not buying something on day 4, day 5, day 6, you could stay with some stuff. If you go to high beta tech, Facebook pushed and then didn't do much and had an inside day. It's had a big move, so it's getting harder and harder to sink your teeth into it, but it's still trending. Netflix gave you a quick push above the prior day high and then didn't do much, and another inside day, so nothing too big, but it gave you a nice day yesterday. Amazon was up $4 and came back in, but overall you can't be too upset, especially if you caught the move once it went above this tight pattern here and still hangs out. Apple, I think, is interesting. Another day above 100. First time you actually had like a rounding type bottom trade that didn't just fail. This one up, failed. This one up, failed. Here, broke above the 8 and 21 day, didn't fail. It actually, held in there. So maybe there's a little bit more room in Apple to go up. So I'm still in Apple from yesterday, traded it a few times today, but who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of follow through. Who knows? Could even get to here. Oh, we shall see. We all pretty much got out of the way when it broke this area and was below the 200-day there. Twitter, I know it's a broken name, but again, patterns are patterns, and today it showed some relative strength, and you had your overthrow move down below 15 on earnings, and then now it's been going sideways. We like when things go sideways because sometimes you go sideways above a move, you have a bull flag, you can get continuation. I'm not thinking that we're going to get a huge continuation, but maybe this wants to see 22. If it's going to see 22, it's got to get through this 1894 first. So just a trade, and I'm in that too. But nothing really more than a tier 1. I'm just trying to find individual setups that could continue if the market, does what it did today, drift up. Where stocks could have big moves. Like I know guys have been taking advantage of this FCX, and if you read my note to start the year, I know it was right here. I said this one could double. And a lot of guys were saying to me, they bought it early, which happens. Sometimes you need to wait for something to actually set up versus just buying it. And, it's now pretty much more than a double from the low. And if you would have waited instead of just buying it, to start the year, okay, because it didn't look good, it broke down first, maybe you waited to this day, you did pretty well. Other guys also, asked me about WYNN the other day because that was my other big focus from the 2016 thesis, and it also had to come in first because that's what the market did in January, and then it cleared the pattern that I was looking at to start the year right here, and now it's still above the 8 day. Look how new moves get born. They get born when they ignite over the 8 and 21 day. Here, below the 8 and 21 day the entire time. Now above. Different types of situations. Metals, yesterday I was in the metals and I got out of it because the market was too strong. I thought that it would just fail, and they actually held in pretty well. So it kind of got me back in the GLDs today. Very tight pattern. I think it's going to break above this pennant to the upside. It's been above the 8 day the entire time. If this was a stock, I'd be definitely in tier 1 and buying a heck of a lot more once it cleared that. Never even retested this support down here and held that gap. So I'm in tier 1, and we'll see what happens. At this point, I don't know if the market continues higher, then people are going to start just selling gold. But so far, that hasn't happened yet. If we hit our pivot and then maybe turn lower, maybe that's when gold does its next leg. We shall see. But all in all, looks pretty good. A lot of the steel names are on the move. Guys were pointing to X. Again, what happened here? It took back the 8 and 21 day right over around here, and now it's holding above it and ignited. Stock's been out of action. It's been annihilated. A lot of trash for treasuries trader. Someone else's trash. Someone who did not use the right risk parameters, that did not sell their U.S. steel when it broke this trend here and lost the 8 and 21 day there, or the 200 day here at 28. Someone who did that and sold it and not been involved for a trade because it never got back above the 200 day, might have been in it for a day and a half trade, and if you did so, you made 15% or so and not just held your nose and went underwater. So lots of different ways to create cash flow. When markets are trending and the VIX is low, money rotates and looks for things to do. At some point, we might get a big topping tail, and then things could come in and the trend changes and we work off this overbought condition. But until we see that, try and be opportunistic and look for the right setup versus just being short, because if it continues to go, you might not be able to stay solvent until the right signal actually shows itself, besides the opportunity cost of all these great setups that we've had over the course of the past few weeks while you've been waiting for that to happen. So with that said, hopefully you had a good day. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.